This is TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And the State of the Saints podcast is brought to you by Manscaped.com. For those that enjoyed the Lawnmower 3.0, well, I got news for you. The Manscaped engineering team has successfully created the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the Lawnmower 4.0. The leader in male grooming is taking it to the next level. Join the 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped for all their below-the-waist needs. Go to manscaped.com. Use the promo code State of Saints, and you will save 20% off on the Lawnmower 4.0 as well as other Manscaped items. That's manscaped.com. Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. And this edition is an edition that you all been waiting for. It is time to break down the 2022 schedule. What are the New Orleans Saints going to do in 2022? You know, so many other people have talked about the Saints schedule. Are the Saints going to win? Or the Saints going to lose? But right now, we are going to talk about the games that the Saints are going to win and a game the Saints are going to lose. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. Oh, come on, man. I can't do it like this. I cannot do it like this. I can't, man. This is a special occasion. This is an annual event. We do this every single year. So we gotta step it up, man. Nah, too hot. I'm not mad at this, but it's a little bit too bright. Okay, black and gold. Okay, I can get down with this. Now we ready. Well, almost. Somebody hit that ESPN music for me real quick. Yes, sir. Now, as you can see, these are the games the Saints have to play in the regular season. You have the Atlanta Falcons, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Carolina Panthers, Minnesota Vikings, Seattle Seahawks, Cincinnati Bengals, Arizona Cardinals, Raiders, Ravens, Steelers, Rams, 49ers, Buccaneers. Then the Saints have a bye week, Atlanta Falcons, Cleveland, Eagles, and the last game will be against the Carolina Panthers. So that is the Saints schedule. I know we're all excited about that, but you have to go ahead and talk about week one. Now, this is the first game of the season. It's an away game. The Saints have to travel to Atlanta. This is a divisional game, and this game right here, to me, isn't going to be one of those easy games. Now, I understand a lot of Saints fans expect for the New Orleans Saints to just coast past Atlanta because Atlanta got a lot of unanswered questions at quarterback. You got a young team. It seems like they're trying to rebuild post Matt Ryan, but this is a team that's a prideful bunch. Arthur Smith going into his second season as the head coach, I feel like he is trying to make a statement. And what better statement can you make by knocking off the New Orleans Saints, one of the most credible teams in the NFC South? But it won't be on this day. I got the New Orleans Saints winning this football game because I feel like the New Orleans Saints are just a better team than the Atlanta Falcons. Do I think that the Saints are going to blow them out? I would be highly surprised if that happens, especially in a divisional game. But the New Orleans Saints have a lot of pieces coming back, and I just feel like it's a recipe for success. In the past, Jameis Winston normally does really well against the Atlanta Falcons. As a matter of fact, I think he put up his best numbers against Atlanta each and every year. So I don't expect for that to change. I got the Saints winning this football game and going to 1-0. Then you have week 2, the New Orleans Saints in the Superdome taking on Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is going to be an exciting game. It's going to be an exciting game because it always is an exciting game when the Saints take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You got Tom Brady coming back. He retired for 40 days and 40 nights. Decided that I don't want to retire. Comes out of retirement and he comes back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, a lot of Saints fans are probably saying to themselves, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, offensive line, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Leonard Fournette gained a lot of weight. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, question mark about Chris Godwin's health. All those things. Now, but I'm not buying it. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be formidable. They're going to be a team that are not going to lay down for the New Orleans Saints. Now, we know that the Saints got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers number. I don't care if you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan or not. You can go ahead and talk about that divisional game that you like to beat on your chest about. But when it comes down to the X's and O's, the New Orleans Saints continuously have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers number. And I don't expect for that to change. I expect for the Saints to get to Tom Brady early and often. And it has absolutely nothing to do about the offensive line, because the offensive line of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, no matter if they're healthy or not, the Saints always find home. Tampa Bay, I expect for them to go out there and try to get the ball out of the hands of Tom Brady extremely quickly. I expect for those guys to make plays. I expect for those guys to try to do everything they can to beat the Saints. But I just think that the New Orleans Saints looking at Tampa Bay as the standard, and they're tired and they're sick of watching the media talk about Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as if the Saints don't exist. This is going to be a revenge game for Jameis Winston. He was doing some really good things the last time he played Tampa before he got injured in the Superdome. I feel like this is going to be Jameis's game in order for him to finally get his revenge on his former team. I got the New Orleans Saints beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 2 to go to 2-0. Next, we have the New Orleans Saints going on the road to take on the Carolina Panthers in Bank of America Stadium. Now, we all know that Baker Mayfield is going to be the starting quarterback going into the 2022 season. You know, I'm not one of those people that want to throw shade at Baker Mayfield. I'm not one of those people that look at Baker Mayfield as if he's just a bona fide certified scrub, as if we do with all first-round draft picks, first pick overall, every single time these guys don't come out the gate being an absolute beast. But for some apparent reason, we don't do it with Trevor Lawrence. Baker Mayfield, a guy that plays with a chip on his shoulder. He went from one college to another. He goes to the Oklahoma Sooners. He's won the Heisman Trophy. Wasn't the tallest guy in the world. He wasn't the most athletic guy in the world, but he got it done. And then he became the first pick overall, going to a Cleveland Browns team. He gave the Cleveland Browns their first win before, they end up going 0-16. I don't understand how you just write a guy off that gives you your first win after you go winless an entire season. But Baker Mayfield plays better with a chip on his shoulder, and I expect for him to play with that type of enthusiasm with the Carolina Panthers. But it won't be enough for the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints are going to be on a mission. The New Orleans Saints are going to be one of those teams that go into Carolina, and this is going to be a divisional game. The Saints aren't going to take that for granted, especially as we've seen the New Orleans Saints and what an NFC game can actually do to their playoff chances. And not to mention the Carolina Panthers are one of those teams that are right there neck and neck with the New Orleans Saints. So I have the New Orleans Saints winning this football game. I expect for Carolina to play formidable. They're a tough team. Earlier in the season, they were playing really well before they lost Chris McCaffrey and guys like J.C. Horn. You add a guy, back to the roster, and Chris McCaffrey being healthy, J.C. Horn being healthy. I expect for them to be a tough out, but the New Orleans Saints will win this football game. And that is going to push the New Orleans Saints to 3-0. 3 straight games coming out the gate for the New Orleans Saints. Then you have the New Orleans Saints traveling across the pond to London to take on the Minnesota Vikings. I don't know how the Saints and the Minnesota Vikings became such bitter rivals. It just seems like the Minnesota Vikings fans don't like the Saints and the Saints fans don't like the Minnesota Vikings fans. But I guess it has something to do with the playoffs. And, Minnesota always seemed to, for some apparent reason, break the hearts of the New Orleans Saints. But we got them back in 2009, didn't we? And maybe that has something to do with it. But these teams together, the fan bases always are glued to the television. The Minnesota Vikings have a brand new head coach, Kirk Cousins. There's a lot of question marks about him. Is he the poster boy for mediocrity? Can Dalvin Cook stay healthy? Got Justin Jefferson, who is one of the best wide receivers in football, along with Adam Thielen when he's healthy. You got a defense that's respectable, right? And you have a team that is trying to be neck and neck with the Green Bay Packers. Then this game right here, traveling across the pond, I have the Minnesota Vikings beating the New Orleans Saints. It has absolutely nothing to do with history. Has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that the Minnesota Vikings having the Saints number in postseason. In the regular season, the Saints played really well against them. And last time we know that Alvin Kamara scored 6 touchdowns against the Minnesota Vikings. But what people don't really pay attention to is the Minnesota Vikings were right there neck and neck. Every time Alvin was scored, you see Kirk Cousins drive the guys down the field for a touchdown. In that game, they were going for Ted. But Alvin Kamara's 6 touchdowns kind of was the story of the game. The Minnesota Vikings trying to stay neck and neck with the Green Bay Packers. I feel like it's going to be a very motivating factor for them to finally get that win. I feel like they're going to kind of be teetering around this time. Win, loss type thing, especially with a quarterback, in my humble opinion, about Kirk Cousins, who is pretty average, right? Win one, lose one. Plays spectacular one week, don't play so spectacular the next week. So I have the Minnesota Vikings winning this football game in London versus the New Orleans Saints. So that will give the Saints their first loss of the season. Then you have the New Orleans Saints in a home game coming back across the pond, taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Now, I don't understand why the NFL did this. I mean, you can make up your own narrative. Why would you make a team travel to London and then have to come back and play a home game or even a football game, in that matter, the following week? I really don't understand why you would do that. But the New Orleans Saints have a home game versus the Seattle Seahawks, and the Seattle Seahawks don't know what they'll have. Don't know if they'll have Drew Lock. Don't know around this time if they'll aggressively try to pursue a trade, maybe getting a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, heck, even Sam Darnold, since he's not going to be the starting quarterback for Carolina. But as of right now, the Seattle Seahawks, whether you're the biggest fan or not, you have to believe that you don't know what Drew Lock is capable of. Drew Lock didn't play versus the Saints the last time the Saints played the Denver Broncos. When he was there, of course, that was during the time when the Denver Broncos had to rely on a wide receiver to play quarterback, and it just did not pan out. I think he went like 1 for 13 or something like that, and the Saints kind of ran the ball down Denver's throat. But Drew Lock playing for the Seattle Seahawks, along with DK Metcalf and some of those offensive weapons that they have, I think they're going to try to put forth the best effort. Drew Lock being in Seattle, to me, is not the best place. He goes from Denver, led by Vic Fangio, who is a defensive-oriented coach, to Pete Carroll, who's a defensive-oriented coach. And I just think that they're going to be trying to figure it out. I think that Pete Carroll, he's probably going to be on that bubble around this time. I got the New Orleans Saints bouncing back from a loss from the Minnesota Vikings, beating up on the Seattle Seahawks because they're angry, they're frustrated. They probably at this particular time probably thought they were going to beat Minnesota, but something happened, and they're going to use that motivation in order for them to knock off the Seattle Seahawks. So I got the Saints winning this football game versus the Seattle Seahawks. Then you have the New Orleans Saints with another home game taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, this is a little bit of a game where Saints fans are going to be conflicted. You got some Saints fans who just love Joe Burrow, right? Because of everything that he's done for LSU, bringing them a national championship, putting a Heisman Trophy on the mantle of LSU Tigers. And then you got Jamar Chase, who also contribute to that national championship team, and Trey Hendrickson, a former New Orleans Saints that is playing really well, that had real good success last season. And also since the Bengals in the Super Bowl. So you're going to have some conflicted New Orleans Saints fans. But I will say this. If you're a New Orleans Saints fan and I see you with the half Burrow, half Saint jersey, nah, okay? You get absolutely no respect for that whatsoever, okay? Look, you have to pick sides, all right? You got to be able to pick a side. Okay, I'm just kidding, okay? You can like Joe Burrow all you want to, but I have the New Orleans Saints winning this football game. Look, I'm one of those people, I honestly believe that the Cincinnati Bengals aren't going to be as good as they were last season. I think a lot of their success came from a lot of teams not, paying them any type of attention, not respecting them, saying, it's the Bengals, right? And they kind of snuck up on a lot of teams, especially in the postseason. So I think that now that they have teams' undivided attention and you're the runner-up in the Super Bowl, teams are going to be using you as a measuring stick. And I don't know if the Cincinnati Bengals and Eli Apple will be able to keep that type of momentum. I have the New Orleans Saints beating the Cincinnati Bengals. It's going to be a tough game. I'll never count out Joe Burrow. He's a tough guy coming back to Louisiana. He's going to want to put on a show. Jamar Chase coming back to Louisiana. He's going to want to put on a show. T. Higgins, he lost in the national championship in the Superdome. He's going to want to put on a show. But at the end of the day, I just think that the Saints defensively are going to be able to withstand the onslaught of a Joe Burrow. I got the Saints winning this football game. So the New Orleans Saints are going to be riding high. They only have one defeat as of right now, and they are going to go into this gauntlet of really talented teams. So there we go. The New Orleans Saints on a Thursday night, a bounce back, have to head to the West Coast to take on the Arizona Cardinals. This is going to be a tough game for the New Orleans Saints. I mean, you go out there, you have a knockout, drag-out brawl versus the Cincinnati Bengals to get that win. And now you got to go on the road to the West Coast on a Thursday. This is going to be tough for the New Orleans Saints. This is going to be one of those games I feel like is going to be one of those games that the Saints drop. Not that the fact that the Arizona Cardinals is just so much better than them. I just think that the travel and, the toughness of the previous game versus Cincinnati is going to be one of those games that the Saints drop. Especially Arizona being a home game for them. They ain't got to worry about traveling. These guys can sleep in their own beds, can kind of do their own little routine, and it won't affect them whatsoever. I have the New Orleans Saints winning this football game. I think that this is going to be one of those games. And it happens, right? You remember one of the games where the New Orleans Saints, they played on Sunday and then played on Thursday, and that was the game when Drew Brees threw like 5 interceptions. I mean, how many times do Drew Brees throw 5 interceptions in a football game? So this is going to be one of those slip-up games. Unfortunately, it's going to come at the hands of a team in the NFC, but I have the Saints losing versus the Arizona Cardinals, so that will give the Saints their second loss of the season. But not all is lost. You have the New Orleans Saints taking on the Las Vegas Raiders at home, and I understand that the Las Vegas Raiders are a tough out every time they play the New Orleans Saints. Well, not the Las Vegas Raiders, but the Raiders, okay? When it was in Oakland, it always was a tough out for the New Orleans Saints. We remember the game a couple of years ago. Brandon Cooks with that 98-yard touchdown. The Saints lose in the last minute. Then a couple of years ago, we see the Saints taking on the Raiders on Monday Night Football, and they lose that game too back in 2020. The Raiders, for some apparent reason, are always a tough out for the New Orleans Saints. But I have the New Orleans Saints beating the Las Vegas Raiders. Look, it's time for the New Orleans Saints, in my opinion, to get back to that winning culture inside of the Superdome. You know, the Saints, I know people are talking about how the Superdome and how loud it can get, but for the last couple of years, I ain't gonna lie, the Superdome has not been helpful to the New Orleans Saints. So I think that the New Orleans Saints and the hometown crowd is going to be the X factor in this game. I think that Jameis Winston is going to play extremely well. I think that Josh McDaniel is going to bring a little bit of that New England flavor, you know, throwing passes to the halfbacks of those short intermediate routes, not too much downfield. I think that the Raiders and Derek Carr are going to be formidable, but I think that the New Orleans Saints are going to win this game, and they're going to win it very decisively. You know what I'm saying? I think that it's going to be one of those decisive games. I think they're going to be formidable as far as like the toughness and grit, but I think this is going to be one of those games where the Saints flex their muscle, and I think this is going to be one of those games where Jameis Winston, you know, dealing with that ACL injury, I think this is going to be like when he's feeling, he's feeling a little bit of himself as far as, you know, not dealing with the injury anymore. I think that he's going to have a little bit more confidence at this time, and I think that the Saints are going to use this game as one of those statement games for all those that's rocking in the NFC that think they're going to be better. So I got the Saints winning this game versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Then you have a Monday Night Football game. You have the New Orleans Saints taking on the Baltimore Ravens. And this game scares the heck out of me because historically the New Orleans Saints do not do well versus the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, even Drew Brees, he only has one win as a Saint versus the Baltimore Ravens, and that came with an act from God when Justin Tucker missed the extra point. Like, how many times do you see Justin Tucker miss the extra point or field goal of that matter, all right? But it took an act of God in order for them to get the win in M&T Bank, but the Saints did get that win, and now you have Lamar Jackson, who is coming into the Superdome, and we all know historically, whether you like Dennis Allen or not, he sucks versus calling against the RPO. We've seen Jalen Hurts run the ball down his throat. We've seen guys in the past that if they have the ability to run, always give the New Orleans Saints fits. And now you have Lamar Jackson, who is the king of the RPO. And not to mention the fact that he's more elusive than Jalen Hurts or any of those quarterbacks that have given the Saints fits during this RPO game. Look, the New Orleans Saints are going to lose versus the Baltimore Ravens. Historically, they just don't match up really well. Not the fact that I don't feel like the Saints are going to be tough. Not the fact that I feel like the Saints won't be formidable, especially it being a home game. But I just think that the Baltimore Ravens are tough. They're a physical team in the RPO game. Dennis Allen hasn't shown me that he has an answer for it just yet. So I have the New Orleans Saints losing that football game. So that's giving the New Orleans Saints their third loss of the season. Next, we have the New Orleans Saints taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers, and this is in Heinz Field. Now, historically, the New Orleans Saints have played really well versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. We remember that magical game back in 2018 where the Pittsburgh Steelers were fighting for their playoff lives. You had Sheldon Rankin forcing a fumble on Juju Smith-Schuster. I know a lot of people remember that because that was a really exciting game. And not to mention a couple of years before that, the New Orleans Saints went to Heinz Field and knocked off the Pittsburgh Steelers once again. So historically, the New Orleans Saints have done really well versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I expect for the New Orleans Saints to continue that trend. Look, the Pittsburgh Steelers are not the Pittsburgh Steelers of old. They're not their grandfather's Pittsburgh Steelers. They're not the Pittsburgh Steelers that, you know, we're used to having a vaunted defense and, you know, you can't be able to run on them. You can't be able to pass on them. You got to find a way to win. I just feel like they're trying to figure out their identity. I feel like Kenny Pickett is probably going to be the quarterback around this time. Mitchell Trubisky is probably going to get the start, and then Kenny Pickett is going to end up being the starting quarterback. But don't quote me on that, especially the way that Kenny Pickett is playing. I feel like George Pickens is going to be a problem. But I think that the New Orleans Saints are going to win this football game, quite frankly, because I feel like the New Orleans Saints understand who they are. I feel like with the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're still trying to figure it out with a young quarterback. Probably have a young receiver. I look at Kenny Pickett and George Pickens kind of similar to that of an Andy Dalton and AJ Green. Going to make some plays, but they still have to grow as pros together. I have the New Orleans Saints beating the Pittsburgh Steelers in Heinz Field. Next is a home game for the New Orleans Saints as they take on the Los Angeles Rams. And the Rams come into town. We all know that historically the Los Angeles Rams are not one of our favorite teams, especially since we know back in 2018 in the NFC Championship game where you had Tommy Lee Lewis get hit by Nickell Robey-Coleman that cost the New Orleans Saints an opportunity at the Super Bowl and put the Los Angeles Rams into the Super Bowl and gave us one of the most boring Super Bowls in NFL history, because I feel like that was an act from God, because God was like, y'all shouldn't have been there anyway, so we're going to bore the entire world to death, okay, because the Saints should have been in that thing. But the Los Angeles Rams come back to the scene of the crime, taking on the New Orleans Saints. And look, I like Matthew Stafford. I think that he's a talented quarterback. During the time when he was trying to get traded, I would love for him to be a part of the New Orleans Saints, that he would have found success. But look, the Saints have something to prove, and this is the Super Bowl champions. And we know that the Super Bowl champions are going to get everybody's best shot because they're the measuring stick. Everybody expect for those guys to, be the is all and a be all. So if we knock them off, then we must be pretty doggone good. And not to mention, I just think that Jameis Winston, during this time, he's going to be flying high, right? I think he's going to be making plays. I think that Chris Olave is going to be making plays. Michael Thomas is going to be making plays. Jarvis Landry is going to be making plays. I just think that the New Orleans Saints are going to try to prove that they are for real. And in these type of games, the New Orleans Saints always show up and show out. We've seen it against Tampa. We see it against Green Bay last season. So I don't expect anything different versus the Los Angeles Rams. Aaron Donald scares me, especially lining up right across from Cesar Ruiz. But hopefully the Saints have an answer for that question. I have the New Orleans Saints beating the Los Angeles Rams inside of the Superdome. Once again, I think that the Saints are going to start getting their magic back inside of the Superdome, especially with a guy with the arm talent of a Jameis Winston. So I have the Saints winning this football game. Next, you have the New Orleans Saints going to Santa Clara to take on the San Francisco 49ers. And if history has taught us anything, the New Orleans Saints, for some apparent reason, they struggle against young quarterbacks that they never really seen. But I think that Trey Lance has a little bit of advantage, okay? Unlike Kenny Pickett, I feel like Trey Lance is going to his second season, and the speed of the game has kind of slowed down. It's not like he hasn't played in the game at all. He had some experience last season, and not to mention the games that he has in the games that he has in 2022. Those games are going to prepare him for this game. I just think that the Saints going up against the Rams, tough game, tough out. Then you go off to the West Coast to take on the San Francisco 49ers, and they're probably going to be fighting with Los Angeles. That's going to be tough for the New Orleans Saints to win this game. So I have the New Orleans Saints losing this football game versus the San Francisco 49ers. I think that the San Francisco 49ers are going to be opposing their will. They're going to be well rested. They're going to have this home game. They're going to try to perform in front of their crowd, trying to get those guys excited. And the Saints, given everything that they did versus the Rams, I feel like they're going to give it their all versus San Francisco. But I just think that the momentum and the energy from the game versus the Rams will not translate to a win versus the San Francisco 49ers. So I have the Saints losing this football game to the San Francisco 49ers, giving them their third or fourth loss of the season. So as of right now, you have the New Orleans Saints at 8-4, man. So they have 4 losses, but will this continue? Okay, New Orleans Saints are going to be taking on, once again, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Raymond James Stadium. The New Orleans Saints headed to Tampa, Raymond James Stadium. I don't know if anybody believes this or anybody paid attention to this, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have not been in the end zone versus New Orleans Saints in 2 years. in Raymond James Stadium. 2 years, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in their home stadium has not scored on the New Orleans Saints. And until the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can prove to me that they can score inside of their own stadium versus the New Orleans Saints, I can't pick them to win. I got the New Orleans Saints sweeping the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and beating them in Raymond James Stadium. The New Orleans Saints, to me, are just a better team. You can talk about Super Bowls, Tampa. You can talk about how y'all got us in the divisional round, but the Saints are just better than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that's just something that Tampa Bay fans are just going to have to accept. They got to cross their fingers and pray, use their lucky rabbit's foot in order for the Saints to slip up in order for Tampa to win a game, and I just think that this is one of those things. I understand that you feel motivated because you feel Tom Brady came back to beat the Saints, and psycho time, as Skip Bayless would say, but I still feel like it won't be enough. I have the New Orleans Saints knocking off the Tampa Bay and sweeping the Tampa Bay Buccaneers yet again in the regular season. So the New Orleans Saints will move on until the bye week with a win over Tampa Bay. Next, you have the Saints inside the Superdome coming off a bye week, taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Look, as a coach, I feel like you need to have your team prepared for the bye week, okay? If you have 2 weeks, I don't care if it's a divisional game or a team that's not in your division. If you can't win a game coming off a bye week, shame on you. And I don't care if it's a division game. Inside of the Superdome, you got a home game coming back. Now, last time the Saints had a bye week coming off a bye week playing Atlanta, they did not win. But I don't expect that to happen. I expect Desmond Ridder around this time to be the starting quarterback due to injury of Marcus Mariota. Not that I'm wishing injury on him, but look, you got to look at history when you're talking about Marcus Mariota. I'm wishing him well, hoping that is wrong, but it is what it is. I got the New Orleans Saints winning this game. Desmond Ridder, I feel like he's going to give it a lot of fight and everything like that, but I got the Saints beating the Atlanta Falcons in this game. So like Tampa Bay, I have the New Orleans Saints sweeping the Atlanta Falcons. Next, you have the New Orleans Saints taking on the Cleveland Clowns. Oh, my bad. I mean Browns. You have Deshaun Watson is going to be back around this time, serving that 11-game suspension. He's probably going to be excited and ready to play. But look, I know that Deshaun Watson is a talented quarterback. I know people have their reservations about the human being that he is as of right now, but the dude is extremely talented. And the last time he played the New Orleans Saints, it was exciting, okay? I mean, he almost led the Houston Texans to victory. We know about that two-play drive that put the Texans ahead of the New Orleans Saints before Drew Brees did his late-game heroics to set up that 58-yard field goal versus Will Lutz. But look, I just think that the fact that this guy hasn't really played snaps in almost 2 years, the fact that I just feel like around, coming back after week 11 towards the end, and I think that the Cleveland Browns are going to be struggling during this time. I don't expect for Deshaun Watson to go out there with the late game heroics. I think that by the time he comes back, he's still going to be trying to figure it out, and I think that you got to account for the rust of not playing any real snaps in nearly 2 years, okay? So, I mean, I know he's going to have a game before that, a couple games before that, but you still have to account for that. I have the New Orleans Saints winning this football game. I think the Saints are going to be inspired, especially being at home, especially trying to fight for that number one seed. They don't need any slip-ups, okay? So I have the Saints winning this football game versus the Cleveland Browns. Then you have the New Orleans Saints going on the road versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Can we talk to the NFL for a second? Can we talk to them? Can we talk to the NFL just for a second? Why is it that the New Orleans Saints always have to travel to Philly? I mean, honestly, every time the Saints play Philly, for some apparent reason, the Saints have to go to Philly. I can only think of maybe one time, okay? One time that the Philadelphia Eagles had to come to New Orleans, okay? It was the time when the Saints beat the brakes off of them, and then they had to go in the divisional round because the Saints kind of forced their hand. But for the most part, the regular season, when Taysom Hill played, Trevor Siemian played. I mean, come on, can we please get a regular season game versus Philadelphia, okay? But anyway, the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the New Orleans Saints. Now, look, I know that the Saints struggle with the RPO. Dennis Allen has not found an answer for that yet. And Jalen Hurts has given the Saints fits over the last 2 times that they played. All right, but I think that the Philadelphia Eagles have never played the New Orleans Saints when Jameis Winston was quarterback. I also believe that Jalen Hurts around this time will not be the starting quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. You heard it right here. Until Jalen Hurts shows me that he can throw the ball consistently and make plays with his arm in clutch situations, then I am going to say that he will not be a quarterback. I don't know who it will be. I don't know if it'll be Sam Howell. I don't know if it'll be Gardner Minshew. But I feel that Jalen Hurts late in the season will not be the starting quarterback. I feel like the Philadelphia Eagles fans are going to be in the ruckus. They're going to be upset. They're going to be frustrated at the play Jalen Hurts, especially since you got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, all those other guys there that can make plays. And Dallas Goedert. I just think that they're going to be frustrated, and Jalen Hurts will not be the starting quarterback. You heard it right here. And if I'm wrong, then you can come right back and say, TJ, you tripping. All right. But I have the New Orleans Saints beating the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly. I think that a pocket passing quarterback is going to fit into the hands of the New Orleans Saints, and I just think that the Saints are going to be inspired because the Saints in Philly, for some apparent reason, the Saints always wet the bed. I think that they're going to be trying to exercise those demons. You cannot afford to have a loss versus an NFC opponent. The Saints have to be in this. So I have the Saints winning this football game versus the Philadelphia Eagles. And then the last game of the season, you have the New Orleans Saints taking on the Carolina Panthers. Now, this game will be inside of the Superdome. You're probably saying to yourself, the New Orleans Saints probably are not going to be playing the starters in this game because of the record that I gave them, right? They're going to be, at the time, they're going to be 12-4. They're going to be going into their 13th win. That's the reason why the starters are going to play, because I have the Green Bay Packers being neck and neck with them, and I think that they won't have any time to slip up. Okay, over the last couple of years, you had the Green Bay Packers, right there neck and neck. Took a game versus the Green Bay Packers, them losing. I'm talking the Saints, in order for Green Bay to get that number 1 seed. Then you had the Saints slipping up once again, and it gave Green Bay the number 1 seed once again. So I think the Saints are going to be neck and neck. I'm not buying what Hard Knocks telling me about the Lions. The Chicago Bears offensive line is absolutely atrocious, and I don't think Kirk Cousins is the answer for Minnesota. Maybe they'll figure it out at the end of this season. So I have the New Orleans Saints really coming into this game trying to knock off the Carolina Panthers. As far as the Carolina Panthers, they're going to be playing for pride at this time. I think Matt Rule is going to be on his way out. If he does survive the season, I think that he's going to be one of those coaches that's going to be a victim of Black Monday. So I have the New Orleans Saints winning this game, try to solidify their number 1 positioning in a first-round bye in the playoffs. So as you can see, I have the New Orleans Saints going 13-4 in the 2022 season. But I would love to hear from you. What do you think about my record? Do you think that is right? Do you think that is wrong? What do you think about this record? Do you think that the Saints are going to find success this season? Comment down below, like and share this video. This has been the State of the Saints podcast. Previous episodes available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Anchor FM. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat? And I'm out.